Hello everybody, or anybody out there. Welcome to this preview at windowsontheworld.net. Tonight we're going to be talking about surviving World War III. I'm just going to bring this microphone a bit closer and get myself positioned. So yes, these broadcasts are quite spontaneous and we've been doing several of them lately. I usually do a preview for the Sunday show and this is it. Yes, surviving World War III tonight. That's what it's called. And go back into the archive and have a look at the recent shows we've been doing. We did one with Jam for Freedom, and that was all about people going out and creating music, which of course is now not allowed, at least in public. So we also did a show the other night with Kieran Boyle in Ireland, and we're looking at strategies for the future. We're going to be talking about all that and more tonight and give you some information that you may or may not have heard, probably won't have heard actually, because I'm going back into the archive of Windows on the World and also looking at what's happening now and what's going to be happening in the future, because we've been pretty much spot on about everything so far. The Global Action Plan is not that complicated. What's happening with the COVID Action Plan is not complicated. We're going to get into the incoming restrictions tonight, what we can do about it. Much more important, I want everything to be solutions based now. Everything should really be based on optimism and solutions, because railing against the powers that are imposing this is already part of the narrative. And we've seen that recently. We've seen how things do not get anywhere because the globalists need the anti-globalists to implement their policies and their agendas. And there's many useful idiots out there who will look stupid in the eyes of the public, and the public will be easily swayed against them. And that's called counterintelligence, really. Part of the counterintelligence strategy is allowing the voice of dissent, which is only there to be ridiculed. And we've seen that over the last year and a half. We've been putting out some great information recently, and I want to keep doing it. But now is the time for strategy. So we're going to be talking about that in tonight's show, 9:30 p.m. UK time. That show will be available on the live shows page at windowsontheworld.net. Yes, we are in World War III. It's the silent war, and it's intended to last until 2025. So the survival strategy has to be until 2025. And that's going to be quite difficult, especially for those who do not want to give in and be part of a medical experiment. So there are ways around this, and we're looking for them all the time. Everything now is going to be solutions based. I've talked about this agenda and the acceleration of it under COVID for the past 10 years. And really, what's disappointing is that most people want hopium. They want fantasy and escapism. So it doesn't really matter which side of the fence you're on, what you believe. Most people have been pretty much taken over by this communitarian system, the system of brainwashing and demonizing everyone outside the hive mind. So even people who think they're outside the hive mind are actually in it because they are participating in something which is going to lead them into a cul-de-sac. Many shows on that, many shows in our archive. And I know we have people who really get this stuff. That's brilliant. But now it's time to start planning, forming underground communities and getting around what's coming. And that means forming strong alliances. We're going to be talking about all that and more tonight. I've got loads of information in this show. And the forthcoming shows are going to be action-packed and full of information too. So, yeah, that's great. Hello, Mark. I see I owe you a call. Erkan, thank you. It's good to actually catch up with people on here. I don't want to turn it into a chat show, but it's good to hear from people. Yes. It's great to see that people are actually listening to the shows and going back in the archive. Yes, indeed. And so it's really now, it's not about choose your side. It's really about choose your strategy. How people act strategically is of real importance at the moment. There's never been a time when this has been more true than now, because people have been hopelessly steered into dead ends. And then it all gets hoovered up into the big communitarian we, of course, and that's getting harder and harder to stay outside. So do look at our recent shows and also subscribe to us on Odyssey. Go to windowsontheworld.net homepage and you will see the links there. We also have a Discord channel. And I do mention this in most of these broadcasts because we still have people who just think we're on YouTube. Well, our YouTube channel's had community strikes and I want to get people away from YouTube, which is why I do these short intros. And sometimes they are interviews and live streams. So there is stuff still on the YouTube channel, but everything is now on Odyssey, including our Sunday shows. All of our Sunday shows are uploaded to Odyssey. So subscribe to us on there. It's Windows on the World :8, I think. And the link is on the homepage at Windows on the World. So great. See you all 9:30 p.m. windowsontheworld.net live shows page. And we're going to be talking about solutions and what's coming in imminently and how this has to be dealt with. So thanks a lot, everybody. And see you all at 9:30 p.m. UK time. I think I'm going to have to go down here to just switch this off, but I might as well look at some of these comments, actually. Yes, that's good. Hello from Denmark. This is brilliant, actually, because I get information from people all over the world, and I've got people who listen to the show all over the world. So keep sending in that information. And thanks to people who've contacted me recently about the historical stuff. That's really great. And also I've had people calling me from the UK about doing some talks. And that will be a great thing to do. I'm also available to do online talks. That would be easier. I don't really want to get into the globalists' way of doing things. But when I am in the UK, I will be doing some talks. And also, there's a lot of people sending me brilliant information, which really backs up everything. And a lot of the information that I'm getting is actually not found in any mainstream media. So thanks for all the documents that you've been sending in. It's brilliant. And listen to that interview I did with Kieran Boyle the other night about strategy, which is both on our YouTube channel and on our Odyssey channel. And we're going to be doing more of those. We're going to be doing them midweek. But as I've said, and I will reiterate, we're talking now really about solutions and strategies. Of course, strategies often have to be private. And I think a lot of things now should be done in private, but sharing generalized information which can be used in a more specific and targeted way, strategically in a private manner, is, I think, the way to go forward, because everything is basically indoctrinated and infiltrated. And the indoctrination of most people is very, very disturbing. And the indoctrination of people who actually think they're outside the hive mind is just as disturbing. So it's a time for people who can think clearly. And this is another point, actually, that a lot of people have become very destabilized over the last 18 months because of what's been going on. And that causes people not to be able to think clearly. So I think focus is really important. And that's something that's really helped me with putting stuff out, is focus. And that gives you enthusiasm to carry on. So some people think that the whole thing is either got to be hopium or it's hopeless. Well, there is a middle ground of, well, let's look at this and analyze what's actually going on and see how we can get around it. Because the globalist strategy, World War III, and its agents and its strategists are quite clever. They have plans, but those plans are working because they are running to a template, and that template is being adhered to, and it's being adhered to in all countries, pretty much all countries, and those countries that don't adhere obviously get brought into line in another way. But what these people are doing is not imaginative. It is merely a plan that they are sticking to. Now, even if a plan's not very good, if you stick to it, you still get an outcome. So what is missing from everything the public seem to be participating in is a plan, a strategy, and an outcome. For instance, I was thinking that these protests have been going on now for well over a year. I wrote an article called COVID Protest Social Engineers, and that article outlines how all protest is actually controlled in a very simple way. But the main point is this, that if people know this, then they can act accordingly, and there are ways around it. For instance, there should be retired people in the legal profession who will put together documentation which gives the evidence, the absolute evidence. And I know this is happening around the world, but if there's a protest, for instance, why isn't a legally qualified person or a person with legal status looking at this documentation, putting affidavits in, and then delivering it to Downing Street, and maybe just filming it and it all being put on a website? Things like this should have been done from the start, because if the public then go to that website out of curiosity because they think it's a load of tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, they'd get a shock, wouldn't they? But of course, then if that really happened, it would be blamed on the Russians, wouldn't it? You see how easy this is? People like the Institute of Strategic Dialogue, these people we've talked about before, the Institute of Statecraft, who got caught red-handed with their stupid memes and anti-Russian propaganda, blaming it all on the Russians, when of course it was the British intelligence services doing their counterintelligence. All this stuff could really be taken to a much greater stage of influence, really, if it was done properly. But as we've seen, we have a lot of people shouting their heads off and looking stupid and basically giving the other side what they want. Demonization is very easy if you make yourself look stupid in the eyes of the general public. And the interesting thing about this is, of course, that over the years, I've been putting all this information out and people said, well, how did you know what was going to happen? I said, well, I just looked at the documentation. All you have to do is look at the plan. As I say, it's all about very simple strategy with the globalists, because these plans have been put into place quite a long time ago. All they're doing is adhering to them, but now about 1,000 miles an hour. So yes. Okay, let's see what else is in here. Yeah, well, it's good to see that people are making some comments in there. I will be back during the week. I've got quite a lot of information to put out, and especially on tonight's show, Surviving World War III. So do join us, 9:30 p.m. UK time, windowsontheworld.net, and hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you get a lot out of the information. So thanks a lot, everybody, and good night.